There we go.
Perfect. Can you see okay? Am I sitting right here? Right. Okay.
Okay, my EE was on rising authoritarianism in India, and about Narendra Modi. His came to power in 2014, got elected, and he won re-election in 2019. And so it's basically about how his policies affected religious minorities, especially Muslims in India. Do I just say?
Just say next slide.
Next slide. Okay, yeah, that's the question. I'm not gonna reread it to you, but Chad was my supervisor, and so he basically helped out with narrowing my question down, and he's pretty good at global politics, so he knows what he's doing, so that was helpful. And yeah, oh, the BJP is the main party, like as Donald Trump comes to power in the Republican Party, Narendra Modi comes to power in the BJP, called the Bharatiya Janata Party. And so Hindutva is Hindu nationalism, so that's the ideology behind the rhetoric, basically what he's using. So like, it's kind of like white nationalism in the way that like it excludes other religious minorities. So it says like Hinduism is the home, is supposed to be for Indians, and any other religion has to be otherized. And so if you've got a homeland like Christians, Jews, and Muslims got a homeland in Jerusalem, right? Bethlehem, that area. And so basically they're seen as foreigners. And so Hindutva basically says that they should be outside of India, which is not great. And so basically these policies and the rhetoric he's been using have reflected that and has been detrimental for these populations. All right, next slide. All right, yeah. So hate crimes have risen, physical violence like lynchings, beatings, yeah, basically that stuff, and they've gone pretty much unchecked in society. Like government leaders have done almost nothing to combat it, and so that's been a problem. And then these policies, like legislative and economic policies, are also based on this ideology. So when the economic system shifts more to the right, basically it concentrates power in the people that are Hindu nationalists and are at the top. And so that, because like, of course, Muslims, like a lot of the population is like lower, in the lower class. And so when power gets concentrated to the right and to the top, people like Muslims and Dalits, which are previously untouchables, get excluded. And so, yeah, and Modi is representative of a larger problem within India and like the global Hindu community, because like it's the same way that like Donald Trump is like an extension of white nationalism in America. It's not like you get rid of Donald Trump, you get rid of racism. Same way you get rid of Modi, you don't get rid of Hindu nationalism. That's just a problem within society. That's an ideological thing that manifests itself as a system. And okay, next slide. Yeah, so time management's a big problem, especially when dealing with something like a 4,000 word paper, whether it be research or doing an experiment. And for me specifically, there's like legitimate backlash because people kind of see Modi as kind of this like god in India. So if you say anything against him, you're basically saying something against India, and you're called an anti-nationalist, whatever. So yeah, that's a problem. So like, some of my family members have been a little angry at me for that, but you know how it is. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so when you, especially for like a global politics EE, there's a lot of like reading that you have to do and knowing a lot of terms and specific things about like theories and stuff like that. And so I've got to learn how to read these big, large articles and condense information, because sometimes you're only taking like 1 or 2 sentences from like a 26-page article for your EE, so you got to know how to shape that up, and you got to know what you're talking about too. So you can't just like read through it and just think you understand it. You got to be able to explain it, or else you won't be able to get that sentence or 2 out of it. Citations and quotations are important because 1, it makes it look like you know what you're doing, and then 2, yeah, that's kind of it. Organization is important too, because if you don't structure it well, you can't make a coherent argument, and you want to focus it, you question narrowly, because if you expand too much, you're going to go outside 4,000 words, or if you don't have enough of a research area, you're not going to get under, or you're going to be too short. Next slide. Something that I thought helped me was kind of just like, I would like take some URLs, and then after reading the article, I would just put like keywords next to those URLs about like what I could get out of this article, so I could go back and then find the sentences or citations that I needed. And I didn't read other EEs early, but I think that would be helpful because, I think that'd be helpful because it gets you a general sense of how that works. You don't have to start off with a super specific idea. If you get like something vague, you can just research and research and research until you focus in on something that you know you can write, and then don't half-ass the reflections. Those are pretty important, and then just, it's big, it's kind of daunting, but just get it over with and you won't feel good when you do. And I think that's all I got.
All right. So we'll take a couple minutes for questions.
Interrogation.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Maddie.
If you could like go back and change anything about your E, or like if you have any regrets about the process, like what would you change?
Honestly, I think I would have done, when I was researching through it, like I thought I knew what I was going to be talking about at the start, but then going through, I learned a lot of things about like how like ideology seeps into like economic policy and all this kind of other stuff. There's like a lot more that I didn't know about, so I thought that if I'd done more research at the start, I could have learned a lot more interesting things and maybe made it better. But yeah.
You said you got backlash from family members about Narendra Modi's ideology and how you were kind of challenging it. What sort of, like, how did you deal with that?
So John DeForest's question was about some backlash that Chaitanya experienced when talking with some of his own family members. Interviews are a really great way to do background research for your EE, and so yeah, Chaitanya, how did you manage that?
Well, Indians tend to be pretty opinionated, and it's hard to change their minds, especially when you're like a kid. So I didn't really change any of their minds, to be honest, so I kind of was just, had to like take the backlash and just go with it, but I tried to make as many convincing points as I thought, and then hopefully that would have translated over. I don't know, some of my family thinks I'm a heretic now, but that's just, I guess, a byproduct of doing this.
Finley or Patrick, any questions for Chaitanya? Hey, Patrick and Finley, we're in like a pretty small group here. I would like you to turn on your cameras, and you are like a tiny little, you're a tiny little image on the screen.
Yeah, Dave Holtby's the other half. You're only a quarter.
Finley and Patrick have left the building. Oh no, there's Patrick. Hey, Patrick. Don't worry, you're just like a tiny little image on the screen. It's just nice to know that we're not talking into a black hole. Hey, Finley, thanks. Thank you so much. Do either of you guys have any questions for Chaitanya?
Grill him.
Patrick, you're in global politics, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Chase has a question.
Chase, go.
Just a question about the content of your EE. Is that person still in power, or is like that? I'm just kind of, I don't understand like the election system there. Is it like every 4 years or 8?
Oh yeah, it's so how it is that there's like kind of 3 parts to government. There's like the upper house of parliament, there's the lower house, and then there's the prime minister. And so the people elect the prime minister and the lower house directly every 5 years. And so first was in 2014, and then now in 2019 he re-won with more support.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not looking too great for Muslims right now.
Wait,
In India.
Does he get like unlimited terms, or is it like he has to be done after 2?
Oh no, they can re-elect him as many times. It
Wow.
just has to go with the people. Yeah.
That's an interesting political system. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was curious about.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much, Chaitanya.